and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. I've been showing you various recorders that I own, and I brought in some usually plastic colored ones. And what I've shown you so far are recorders, the translucent recorders that you can partially see through, and the straight and melody flutes. But I want to show you some more. I have, at last count, when I last cataloged my instruments, I think I had about 341. Now, I'm not going to bring in all 341, but you're going to see a very good sampling of what I do have. So I think today I'll start off and show you the wooden recorders. And because I don't have as many, and they're very interesting. And I just want to mention a few things about wooden recorders. These two are German. They come from Germany. I'll hold them out here so you can see them better. They're made in Germany. I think that the big difference that you're going to find in wooden recorders is the fact that they're more expensive to buy. The tonal quality may be slightly better. I'm not sure about that because the plastics are so good. But let me just try something here. Sometimes these have maybe a little bit more power, and most of the wooden ones that I have are two-piece models. I can pull the head joint out. I'm not going to do it with this one, but the head joint ends here. I can pull the head joint out, but there's no typical foot joint. The body and the foot joint are kind of melted together, and that's the way that it's made. So those are two of my German ones. I want to show you this gill. This is probably made of cedar, and it is made in Israel. This is an Israeli recorder. Let me just play a few notes on it so you get a chance to hear it. Whoops, I need to switch this around a little. The fingering is a little bit, I mean, the position of your hands are the same, but the location of the holes are just a tiny bit different. If you're playing an instrument that's been made overseas, you kind of have to get used to a slight change in the position of the holes. It's an excellent recorder, and this one is made out of cedar. It's also an Israeli recorder. It's got a plastic top, and it's got a wooden bottom, and it's a very, very nice one. It has a softer tone than what some of the others do, and you can see a lot of it has been hand sketched. Now, I don't think this is going to show up, but you can see kind of the knife etchings on it where it was cut. I think maybe you can't see that very well. I can see it from here, so I mention it. A very, very nice recorder. So those two are Israeli. Now this one I want to mention to you is an LMI, and it is also called a Renaissance recorder. The style of it is a little different, but it's basically two-piece like the other wooden ones are. It is a Baroque. It's got that little B on the back, which you'll never be able to see because it's just imprinted in here. It's really a very nice recorder, but the style of it is more like in the Renaissance period. But when I play it, I can play it the same way, and it sounds really good. You'll notice the power that you can get out of these recorders. I do every winter, I do the Messiah with my twin sister who's an organist. And I don't care how loud the organ gets. She doesn't have a little chintzy model. She has a 100-unit pipe organ, all of the pipes working. And I can cut through her sound and make my sound heard with just a little recorder. They do have quite a nice power to them. I want to mention one more that's wooden. And this one, if you take a look at it, the color of the wood from the top head joint to the bottom body and foot joint are a little different. When I got this instrument, and I've said this before, but it's worth talking about, I think. A friend of mine went to a yard sale. It was a perpetual yard sale. They had it every year. They had it every day of the week, and it was in a garage or something, and they were selling this. And she came to me and she said, you know, I go to this yard sale. If they still have it, do you want me to buy it? And I said, yes. And of course, I reimbursed her for it. And I took it home, and it doesn't play very well. You notice it's a tiny bit squeaky. And then I noticed something. The woods are a different color, and it turns out this is parts of two instruments put together as one. In other words, this unit comes from a German make, and this comes from another German make. They were put together probably by kids or something. The top part is a Hohner educator, comes from a Hohner educator, and the bottom just says West Germany. So they're two different types of instrument, two different models of instruments put together as one. No instrument, I don't care if you buy the same brand, you should never mix a part of an instrument with another part. In other words, if I had a flute and I had two flutes, I would not want to have the bottom foot joint of one foot transplanted to the other foot and vice versa, because it doesn't work well. And so for that reason, it doesn't play very well. But I love it and I keep it because I can use it as a teaching tool for all kinds of things. How to restore the broken, for example. So that I want to mention. Now, I'm going to get to the metal instruments. And I think I'll start off with the penny whistles. The penny whistles are different than the recorders because they're all brass with a plastic top. And I have a number of them, and I like them very much. They play very, very well. They have a 2-octave range, and you can play marvelous music. A lot of them play a lot of Irish music that's used on them because you can just jump octaves and jump notes, and it's very easy to do that. I first ran into them when I was playing in an orchestra, and I was playing flute, and a girl beside me said, Pat, have you ever tried one of these? And I hadn't. And she says, you got to get some. They're a lot of fun and they're easy to play. So I have some of different keys, but I want to show you this. This is an E flat, and it's metal, and there's no tone hole in the back, and it has the plastic top. There's no block, but what you see is that the piece where you put your mouth is a very, very narrow piece, and when you get it in your mouth, the labium is right below your mouth, so that a block is not necessary. So let me just play a little bit so you'll get a chance to see this. Now, the little ones can get a little squealy, but that is a very nice instrument, and I can play a lot on it. This is a little smaller. This is an E flat. This is a G. You see the difference in the sizes of them. The G, I think, is the smallest one I've got, very high pitched. I will play it a little, but you probably will want to close your ears or something, because it's squealy. It's easier to get the higher notes than it is the lower notes. It fails a little on the lower notes, but anyway, it's a nice instrument. I just don't play it much because of the fact that it sounds the way that it sounds. Here's one. This is in the key of D, which I use a lot. And you can see it could get 2 octaves real easily. It's a silver and it has the blue plastic on top. That's the way most of them come. I'm going to show you all of them. This one's in the key of C. It's a little larger. It's in the key of D, but it plays in the key of C beautifully, and I'm going to show you in a minute why it does that. So I'm going to, this one here is in the key of C, I'm sorry, but the D's play very well in the key of C, and I'll show you in a while why. This is a key of B flat. It's getting bigger. So the bigger they are, I mean, they have the same kind of sound. I'll hold it to the side, maybe you can see it better. No tone holes in the back. They're all brass. These were all made in Great Britain. Labium in the front, skinny fipple. The mouthpiece of the fipple is very skinny, and the labium is very close to where your mouth is going to be. So I put this in my mouth is almost right on top of the fipple, on top of the labium, I'm sorry. So that gives you a chance to see that. Let's see. I'm going to show you one more unusual one. It's a penny whistle. It's the biggest penny whistle that I own, and this is it. Let me hold it to the side. It's called a low D penny whistle, and the reason that it's a low D is it's in the key of D. No tone holes in the back. It has. I want you to notice the mouthpiece here. It's shaped a little oddly. There's no obvious block, but this piece here is very thin, very skinny, but also not very big. And when you put it in your mouth is right on top of the labium. So the air is going to squeeze right out of the labium like it's supposed to. It has a beautiful tone, and it's hard to play, not because it's hard to blow air in it. It's hard to play because the finger stretches are so great. I can't use it for solo work anymore because my fingers have been injured by the years that I've played. So at any rate, but I want to show you how it's held. You can see how big the finger stretches are. Has a very beautiful tone, very easy to blow into. It's one of my favorites. The only thing is, you have to have a good stretch to your hands to be able to handle the finger stretches between, because they're very long. And if you have small hands or arthritis or you have an injury, it's going to be very hard to play it. But it's beautiful, and it is a penny whistle. It is, about 1.10 inches long, about 1.10 inches. I measured it this morning before I came over. So that's that. Now let me show you the salsa. I'm going to show you 2 sweet tones. I have 2 sweet tones. I think they put out my first note, but I'm not sure, 100% sure. They're like a penny whistle, but they are conical. A cylindrical instrument goes straight up and down. It doesn't come to a point. And with this B flat, you can see that very easily. I'm going to look at the monitor a little as I do this. But these sweet tones come, and they're conical. They come to a point, a little point. And they have a softer tone. They have the typical fipple mouthpiece. Labium is right on the mouthpiece, so that's why you don't get the block. It's right on top of the mouthpiece. No holes in the back, no thumb holes in the back. The way you get an octave is you blow harder. but they play fairly well. I have a red and green one. They're exactly alike except for the color. And they're also made in Great Britain. Very, very nice instruments. This plays exactly the same way. I just wanted the different colors. Now I think this one's a little bit softer than the other one, and this is it. If you're doing instruments and you're mixing them together, some of them are going to have a tendency to be louder and sharper. Some of them are going to have a tendency to be softer. It's inherent within the instrument, and you don't want to mix that up. So if you have an instrument, don't change from one to another and switch the parts like happened in that little wooden recorder I showed you. It's not good for the instrument, and it doesn't play that well, because even if they're made by the same company, there are little individual differences between instruments. When you start playing a lot of instruments, you just know this instrument reacts this way, this instrument reacts that way, and somehow it's inherent with the instrument, and you don't want to mess that up. So these are the two sweet tones. I've got one little, I only show you this. This is also in the key of D. It's a penny whistle, Irish flute, but I want to show you the green top and the brass bottom of it. So there's a little variation in color and style. You notice that I'm tonguing all of this. You really need to learn how to tongue. It's one of the first things that you need to know when you learn to blow an instrument, how to tongue it. Because if I didn't tongue it, it's not clear. You have to have a definite, clear tone, and you only achieve that by learning how to tongue, which is why I spend so much time on it. Now, there are two more little penny whistle-like instruments that I want to show you. This is the Clark's flute. The Clark's flute is also a conical. It comes to a point. If I turn it in back, you can see it has a wooden block. This block is the mouthpiece. And because it's got a wooden blocked mouthpiece with the labium right here, because of that, it has a softer tone. So let me run up and down the scale. It's a very nice tone, very nice instrument. It will be a little softer because of that wooden plug. Let's see. This is a Shaw's. No, this is also a Clark's. It's in a different key. It's silver instead of black. It's got that same wooden plug. The labium is on the other side. The labium, this is the top. You blow into that, but the labium is like right here. You know, it'd be easier if you have a large mouth to put it in your mouth and cover the labium, because you wouldn't get any tone. So you have to be careful how much you actually put in your mouth with this, and any of those conicals that have the wooden plugs. Notice the softness of the tone, put out by the same company as the black one. They're both Clark's, but this one here is the key of D and the other was in the key of C. And I thought I had one more here. Let's see. All right, this is the Shaw's, very much like the other, but it's produced by a different company. It's got this wooden block right here. The labium is almost right on top of the mouthpiece. It's in the key of E. Very unusual to get an instrument that's in the key of E. That's a sharp key. However, this one is. Now, if I was playing this as a recorder, there would be a thumb hole in the back, and I would just pull it to one side to get the high note. But there's no hole in the back, there's no thumb hole in the back for the sassotos, the penny whistles, the sweet tones, the shawls, any of these instruments like that, and the sassotos too. So therefore you have to push a little more air into it to get your octave. So if I'm playing what would be the D, how do I get the high D? I squeeze my embouchure a little tighter and blow a little harder. It's in perfect pitch. It's a very nice instrument. Now, I'm going to show you the sassotos. I gotta watch my time. The sassotos are very simple instruments. They are tunable. You can actually pull this joint up and adjust the tone. They're all black. They're very much like a penny whistle. There's no tone hole in the back. And this one's in the key of B flat. It has a more substantial tone. I want to show them all to you. I guess I've got time. All right, this one here that I showed you is in the key of B flat. This is in the key of C. These are one of my favorite instruments. I actually have used this instrument so much I've started to wear off part of the mouthpiece in the back. And I should get another one, but it still plays beautifully. The one thing, well, let me show you. All right, this is a sassoto B flat. This is a sassoto in the key of A. And one of the things I really need to show you is the sassoto. That's a low D sassoto. This is the biggest sassoto I have, and I think it's the biggest one made. Beautiful tone. It's like the other one. Remember I showed you the penny whistle. This one is just shy of being 2 feet long. I measured it before I came over, and you can see there's probably about 1.5 inch difference in the size if I get the bottom together. But they both play in the key of D. They're both low D instruments. So this is going to be the low D sassoto. This is going to be the low D penny whistle, the largest ones that they make. And one thing I mentioned, and if I have a chance, I really want to show you, why is it that something in the key of D, I want to find my one in the key of D, plays very well in the key of C? Well, there's no tone in the back. So therefore, supposing I play what might be a G if I were playing a recorder. Now let me take and do it on the recorder. The recorder's going to play 1 note lower. If you're using the same fingering, the recorder will play always 1 step lower than what the penny whistles and the sassotos and the metal instruments that I just showed you. And I think the reason for that is the fact that the recorder has a workable thumb hole in the back, and the other instruments don't. And so therefore, they pitch, the recorder pitches a little low. I think that's the reason for that. Now I am running out of time. I am going to close it here, and I have more to show you next time. I want to just show you the large array of instruments that you can play. It really is quite amazing. There's lots and lots and lots of them. I have over 300 myself. So we'll close it here, and please join me next time.